YouTube? Extra Thicc Games, back with you tonight on a Wednesday, giving you a Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS episode review. Here I am, and we're actually on time for once, right? We got one of these coming out the day the episode premiered. Psych, this one's an entire week late. I want to work on that, try and get this non-existent upload schedule up and running, but that's going to be a little difficult, especially if I keep experiencing the technical difficulties that I just did tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the second time I'm recording this video. I just got done recording this episode review. This was a new bottle, like we put a bit of a dent in it. This episode didn't make me rage too much, or didn't have much cause to celebrate. But I had the same problem with the Soul Fusion box. The footage got corrupt, and I have no idea how or why this has started to happen. The only thing I can think to do at this point, but while it's too late for me to go out and get another SD card at the moment, because I want to get this video out here for you guys tonight, was just to format the whole thing. Yeah, I lost a whole lot of Smash Bros. Footage, but it was for Smash 4, and it was all pretty old. It's whatever. Like, Ultimate's on the rise right now. I'm gonna be getting that pretty soon. That's the game that I'm gonna be giving you guys footage and content from. I guess it's not a huge loss, just some memories, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into this episode review. Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, episode 80, Bounty Hunter's Duty. On this episode, it starts off after the ever so catchy Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS intro with Playmaker and I having a bit of an aside conversation, right? Trying to decide who they think they should be rooting for in this duel between the Blood Shepherd and Lightning. Ultimately, the Playmaker concludes that it should be Blood Shepherd that they're rooting for, as they need Lightning to lose, so that he will yield, and ultimately yield control of Jin Kusanagi. So that's whose corner they're in right now, so go Team Blood Shepherd. Celebrate. Sure, I'll drink to that. Anywho, speaking of that fine gentleman, his next move consists of an absolute just onslaught of direct attacks. His battle drone monsters have these effects that let him get over monsters that are already on the field and just go for direct attacks. And he knocks a chunk out of Lightning's life points. I mean, he knocks over half of them down. By the time these direct attacks are done, that Lightning's got 1,200 life points. Wow, Blood Shepherd's got the life point advantage at this point. And he thinks he's going to go for game by getting his bigger monsters, his Link monsters like Battle Drone General, to swing in and attack Lightning's monsters, who are significantly smaller as far as attack value is concerned. But these Armados Legios monsters prove to be quite resilient as far as giving each other protection, as long as there's a couple of them, each with specific effects on the field. Each of them are like giving the other ones protection effects and things like that. So Lightning is able to avoid defeat and keep somewhat of a decent board. But the Blood Shepherd isn't about to leave his own field free of defenses, right? He ends on a pretty good move with a back row card that increases all of his Battle Drone monsters' attack points by the attack of the rest of his Battle Drone monsters, should one of them happen to be attacked. So his great offense is going to end up being a pretty good defense during his opponent's turn. Anywho, on Lightning's turn, he is still able to assemble a pretty good board of Link monsters, but not before activating a card that not only recycles his Judgment Arrows spell card, his Link spell card, Judgment Arrows, that was destroyed in the previous episode. It recycles it back into his deck, but also searches him out another monster, which he is able to then use as a play extender to go into this board of Link monsters, one of whom ends up being his Link 3 boss monster, Armados Legios Legatus Legionis. Legs. Leg Day. Captain Leg Day. This monster doesn't skip legs. Anyone else feel that this whole Greco-Roman style archetype isn't necessarily suitable for Lightning? Like kind of a final seasonal antagonist, primary antagonist deck, and he's using this kind of like Greco-Roman soldier style deck when he was just quoting the Inferno in the episode before. I'm over here thinking he's about to play Burning Abyss. I got excited. My hopes were dashed. I'm gonna drink. But never mind my inherent disappointment by all things, everything. He's able to use this established board to devastate the Blood Shepherd's board by performing moves not limited to destroying the Link 2 Battle Drone Warrant and dealing a good bit of burn damage on top of that before ending his turn. Blood Shepherd at this point is indeed down, however the man is not out. He spends the first part of this next move going into his Synchro monster, the Battle Drone Double Sniper, and then he tries to go for his direct attack strategy again. However, Blood Shepherd is able to totally just shut this down and give good hard counters to just about everything, right? One of his spell cards is able to prevent any direct attack that would come from an effect, so long as there are, monsters on his field that would prevent a direct attack, right? So those are shut down. And then his Armados Legios monsters, we've got a bunch of those on the field, and they're over here protecting one another. If one gets attacked, like the monster's destroyed, this effect's negated, this, that, and the other, just a bunch of nonsense, right? Effectively shutting down all of Blood Shepherd's most his most optimal attack strategies. These are shut down at this point. But Blood Shepherd, with the just absolute nuts of steel that the man has, forces Lightning's hand at this. He goes into these attacks. He tries for the direct attack to force it to be negated. He goes into these to the attacks against the monsters, which he knows is going to be negated by a monster, and Armados Legio monster Centurion. One that's got a particular effect that's going to negate and destroy something, but it's at this point that the Blood Shepherd reveals that this is what he's been waiting for. This is why he was forcing Lightning's hand. And he gives us the Thanos snap, so we know that it's about to get real. So he uses the assembled counters that a Synchro monster had been accumulating to negate the effect of the Centurion, to destroy it, and deal 1,000 burn damage, which would leave Lightning with next to nothing. This was the big play that he was going for. But it gets negated. Of course it does. A lot of build up for nothing. Don't mind me. Happens, dude. Happens. Still, Blood Shepherd's not one to give up. He then switches his tactic to just swinging into the monsters, right? He knows his attacks are going to get negated. At first, his monsters are going to get destroyed, but he swings, and he swings anyway. And after forcing the effects to come off, he ends up reducing Lightning to a minimum 200 life points. 200. We've got the entire peanut gallery, the whole squad basically saying how, wow, Blood Shepherd's got him on the ropes. If any attack or any burn damage gets through, he's got this dual one. And Blood Shepherd again isn't about to leave himself with no defenses on his opponent's turn. The guy is prepared for almost anything. Almost. He spends his main phase 2 going into his archetypal fusion monster, because I guess he missed out on that bandwagon. Regardless, he goes into the Fortress Drone Beehive, right? It's this massive monster with an original attack point value of 0. However, this monster's got a good special ability that is only boosted by the fusion spell that was used to summon it. Because of that spell, it's not affected by any sort of card effects. But its own effect allows it to interact with the levels of the fusion material monsters and turn those into counters, which he is then able to remove from the card to spawn out a bunch of tokens on each of his main monster zones, a grand total of 5. And this monster gets attack points for each of these, leaving the Fortress Drone Beehive with a grand total of 5,000 attack points at the end of the turn. And let's not forget the spell card that he had set up for the last turn, right? The one that gives each of the monsters the combined attack points if they happen to be attacked, because these tokens don't have any points. But if Lightning were to take the easy way out and try to attack into one of them, it would get the combined attack points of all of them, effectively giving each token 5,000 attack points. Blood Shepherd's got a good defense with an amazing offense. However, due to plot convenience, Lightning ends up drawing his Recycled Judgment Arrows card, since, he put that back into his deck on the previous turn. And of course he goes to play it. Blood Shepherd is not having any of this, though. His trap that destroyed it the first time is a continuous one, and it stayed on the field with a secondary effect. Should the same card be activated, it would instead just negate the effect. So it did. And then he's got another trap that effectively rendered Armado's Legio's Captain Leg Day completely useless. It can't attack, its effects are negated, it can't be tributed, it can't be used as link material, it is figuratively and literally bound in chains. Lightning comes back from this, though, because of course he does. With the use of one new monster effect, he is then able to be okay with destroying his own Judgment Arrows card and transferring, from what I understand, transferring its effect over to Captain Leg Day, while the other monster was preventing the rest of them from the destruction effect of Judgment Arrows when it's removed from the field. So Captain Leg Day's got the effect where it just pops everything, right? It destroys all the monsters in the main monster zone of Blood Shepherd and all of the cards in his spell and trap zone. So it's free, and it destroys every single one of the tokens as well as all of his trap cards that were hindering Lightning's monsters as well as boosting his own, leaving him with only the Fortress Drone Beehive that was dwindled down to its original attack points of 0, leaving it wide open for an attack by Captain Leg Day, which is then taken, and in the absolute quickest turnaround I've ever seen in an anime duel, wiping out all of Blood Shepherd's life points and ending the duel, giving Lightning the win. Ghost Girl runs up to him to console him. I don't know. And we actually get this kind of sentimental, emotional moment in the duel where Blood Shepherd kind of reveals his motives. The reason he acted on his own was out of the sense of duty he had as an older brother to protect his sister, though he admits that he ultimately failed at this. And then the events of the end of Avengers Infinity War play out, and Blood Shepherd is killed by Thanos' snap. I wonder how many times I can get away with using that joke in this video. I'm not going to go for 3, we're going to leave it at 2, but Blood Shepherd's data is destroyed and presumably killing the character, so he's gone, and I'm going to drink to that, or for that, because of that, in spite of that. I'm sad about this, so I'm indulging. And at this point, Lightning basically just pieces the squad out, and the episode ends. So, that was the episode. Oh, I like Blood Shepherd, and I wish that I had something to complain about, but I don't. We knew this kind of outcome kind of had to happen. There was no way that Blood Shepherd was going to be the one who ended up beating the seasonal villain, He wasn't about to do that. And I know it seems like the season's been dragging on because at the beginning it was dragging its feet and couldn't decide which plot points it was going for. But now that it's all kind of assembling, this is still, keep in mind, the first time that we're seeing what Lightning is made of. This is the first time we're seeing his deck at all. He was not about to lose on his first duel. Blood Shepherd, I love you, buddy. You had a good character arc in these past 3 sort of episodic development episodes where he interacted with Hanoi and Revolver, he interacted with his stepsister, and he ultimately tried to play the hero on his own, but was defeated. His character arc was complete. There was nothing that they could have done that would have given this character any justice. The only other thing they could have done was have him agree to join the Playmaker Squad, but then he would have been turning his back on his own sort of morals and values, his lone wolf mentality, and that would have done away with who the character was. That wouldn't have done him any good. So it had to happen. We had to lose him at this point, and we got to see Lightning in sort of more of his overconfident, douchey swagger sort of deal. We got to see how he behaves in a duel, especially when setbacks occur, because Blood Shepherd was no pushover in this duel. Like, he put up a good fight and he almost won. Lightning did not know that he was going to win the whole time. But yeah, this is our first big loss. I hope we get him back maybe at the end of the season. It is Yu-Gi-Oh! That's kind of how this works. But for now, we are down the bounty hunter character, and we've just got our first glimpse at what Lightning is made of. It can go anywhere from here again. It really can. At the end of all these sort of arc-like episode groupings that end on something happening, like something drastic happening, the episodes can really go anywhere from there. And I know I snuck a peek at this current episode, the one that aired today that I'm not currently reviewing because of reasons. It's going to be an Onizuka-focused one, but it can still go anywhere from there. Like, we're down Blood Shepherd and we're down Earth. We still have basically most of the heavy hitters of the season still around. And I don't know what it's going to be that it ultimately ends up leading to Playmaker versus Lightning, but we've got a whole lot of just good, meaty plot to get through before that happens, and I'm excited for every bit of it. Not only that, I'm, of course, going to try and get that current episode, the 81 episode review out for you guys here pretty soon. I'm not going to wait a whole week to do that. God, I'll stay up until the wee hours of the morning on a early work day if I have to. This is just embarrassing. Oh, we've got Danger Burning Abyss deck profile coming up for you. I know with Malicious going to 2, that somewhat hurts the consistency. A little more than you might think, but it's still a deck worth playing. And it functions just fine, and that engine is still a good one to run. If I ever just get a day to myself without work or anything like that, I'd love nothing more than to work on some of these comedy sketches that I've had in mind for a while. And when I finally get my hands on Smash Bros. And a Switch, probably more close to Christmas time, I'll get you some Smash Bros. Content. Get some skits from there, get some Elite Smash footage. Yes, I plan on getting that. No, I don't think it'll be a problem. But until then, I'll try to keep just pumping out some good quality videos for you guys. Stay thick for me until then, guys. Stay thick and subscribe. If you subscribe, I can keep doing this and I can get it out sooner, right? And like the video if you want to, please. I honestly don't know what that does for me or the channel, but I like to see a bunch of green check marks. So please, if you enjoyed this or you have made it this far, like the video for me. And stay thick.
Extra thick!